Critique-Opolis is back. We had, it was my pick this week, and instead of a movie, I went with a YouTube series that I watch intermittently. A friend of mine directed me to it, and this is a friend who I would call up, when I'm on the road traveling from market to market or show to show. I had a lot of time to be in my own head, and this friend of mine, Jackie, told me to listen to this YouTube series called School of Life. And in essence, what it does is break down very common questions that people have just in their day-to-day lives and make sense of the things that everybody struggles with, but maybe on, probably, I would say more than half the time have a hard time explaining or talking about with other people or making sense of unless they have a therapist. I kind of thought this was just like a simple therapist for general problems. And the way we did it was we both watched, this was a week and a half ago. I can't remember which ones we watched, but we watched 5 together, 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember what they were about either, but we just picked some.
And then you watched some, and then I watched some.
Yep.
So, if anybody is out there driving, or just, if you have a commute, this is a nice one to listen to, just because it's a pretty dense library, and it has, I couldn't even tell you all the topics, but we pull them up here so I can break down through a few of them. They are as nuanced as the 5 reasons why the modern world is so ugly, and they get as into minutia as emotional minutia as how to be more loving, how to test your emotional security or emotional maturity, how to avoid breakups in developing a relationship, the dangers of having too little to do. And anyone who would look at this would probably say, well, you know what your parents always said, the idle hands make, what is that saying?
The Devil's Playground, I do believe.
Yeah. There's another one, Passion versus Duty. This is the one, I don't know if I told you about this, but this was the series that I looked at. I mentioned this to one of my customers. You know how I have a lot of, just in the past 10 years, folks who would ask about finding meaningful work. Like they'll see me at the booth and how did you figure this thing out? And if you would have asked me when I was a teenager, I wouldn't have picked this career for me at all. But, and I know this is a podcast about the things we watch, but it is a very dense library of topics. It was from this series that I learned about the idea of you don't necessarily have to pick a job that fulfills you in terms of your emotional passion. It's better and it makes more sense and it can be more fulfilling to find a job that you are good at and competent at and that makes sense to you, and then have other hobbies, other things that you do that you can exercise. Like I've talked to you on many occasions about how I was bummed out that I left Los Angeles, and I thought I wanted to work for a movie studio. But looking back, I'm 48 now. If I look back, I do not work well in big teams. It's just, I'm just not good at it. And if I had stayed there, trying to work in the studio system around a ton of people, ultimately I would have made myself crazy. And it's just by the grace of God that, and it had nothing to do with the industry. Yeah, I would have worked in an industry that was really interesting, but day-to-day interacting and having to depend on other people in my job would be, I had it in my jobs in Chicago, and that was really tough. These were not big companies. So to see in this library, and forgive me, listeners, because I can't find which particular. Oh, it's right here. It's how to find fulfilling work. It was. It's a 5-minute clip, and it just breaks down finding something you're good at and that you enjoy enough. It doesn't have to be. Your job doesn't have to be the reason why you were put on this earth. You figure that out over your lifetime, but it doesn't have to be the way that you bring money into the house. And for whatever reason, our society conflates those things. They put it together, but it's not. That can come later. It can come later in life. But especially with young people, they try and have everything figured out at 20 or at 25, and it's detrimental to your emotional health. Which ones did you watch that stuck out to you? Because you didn't tell me, and you started to talk to me about it as we came up here. But
I just watched random ones. I didn't have anything. I think I watched one about instant stress relief, and I watched one about, or I should say, listened to how to simplify your life, and.
What were some takeaways that you grabbed from those?
So the one about stress relief was referencing this tribe of people in Africa and their philosophy called, and I'm probably going to say it a little wrong, but E22. I thought this was very have you heard of this?
No, I watched this one.
You watched that one?
I did, but you watched it more recently, because I watched it right after I picked it. Go ahead.
And so this West African philosophy from this group of people, the Yoruba people, and I'm just reading my notes, sorry. It just talked about taking things one day at a time and living in the moment, or maybe I wrote that from something else, but... There was
a clip, there is a video on here about living in the moment and the value of taking one day at a time.
I would like to watch that one. Did I say that I watched one about how to simplify your life? Yeah, that's a different one. I don't know. I didn't take a lot of notes about the instant stress relief one, but I just thought it was interesting. They're short. They're it's packed with a lot of information. I was just thinking about it when you were talking about the School of Life, and it's the School of Rock for adults. Isn't that what it's called? The School of Rock?
Yeah. These are neat. There was one I just started to watch before we recorded about why are things in the modern world so ugly. And
that's a great one.
Yeah, in that all of our building, it's a video focused around architecture and about how everything, or a lot of our buildings are angular and rectangular and blockish. And if you go back to the Victorian era, everything was ornate and it was frilly. And then there was this movement, this architectural movement of how form had to follow function. And anything that was decorative was wasted material.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, even if I watch the entire thing, I'm not going to give it away on the show, but for a number of reasons, that way of thinking within architecture for many years was popular and was popularized, and building going forward, especially in the past 100 years, has been built around functionality. And the ornate, that's why you don't see fleur-de-lis and concrete flowers and gargoyles on buildings anymore.
Right.
Which, I don't necessarily want to see that, but I think right now you're starting to see kind of a return or a renaissance of visual beauty to buildings, like you're seeing that with these people who use drones to surround buildings and do light shows around the buildings and put up LED lights. Or what's that new building in Vegas that
Sphere?
Freaks you out? The Sphere. It's got all those cameras inside and out of it, and it houses people for events and shows, but the structure itself has become an entertainment spectacle. God, what are some of the other ones I watched here? There's a whole sector that breaks down the philosophies of the world's great philosophers, like Plato.
I saw those, and I feel like
Socrates.
It's like going down a rabbit YouTube hole. I mean, I guess it is doing that, but like I could sit there and watch them for like an hour, and it would just like lead from one thing to another. So I didn't like the architecture one. Sounds really interesting, and I didn't start looking at the philosophers one because I thought if I start there, like I'll just be watching. There's so many that are so that grab my attention that I would watch. I would just sit there and watch them forever, or listen to them.
As we're talking here, I'm scrolling to another ones. I think they have a sector on history as well. French and English gardens, history of wabi-sabi, Johannes Vermeer. So a whole series on painters, Andrea Palladio, Edward Hooper, or is it Hopper? I can never remember. You can say rabbit hole, but it's I kind of look at this channel like, for lack of a better word or better words, it's almost like YouTube Prozac, especially the ones, just the general school of life videos about love and emotional stability. They really kind of, it's almost like they hit the brakes if you're watching them on, for anybody out there who has, their mind is going a million miles a minute. And you feel like maybe I'm not doing enough, or I'm not successful enough, or I'm not pretty enough. It reformats the conversation in your head. At least those ones do for me. It's like they're a big anchor point of those emotional videos are about slowing down and taking things one day at a time. You said it earlier. It's like the secret power of unsent letters, which was, I watched that maybe 6 months ago. That was about, and I've said this to people before, and I know that most people don't do this because it doesn't involve a computer. But before we had email, if I really had to communicate something that I wanted someone to listen and not talk over me, I'd write it down. Sometimes I'd mail it, and sometimes I wouldn't. But if you mail it, that you have a captive audience. And whether or not they're going to agree with you or things are going to go the way you want them to, whether it's a lover or a parent or whatever, the person receiving it is forced to consider it and take it.
I loved letter writing.
Yeah. And if you don't, sometimes writing a letter, not typing it, but writing it down longhand allows you to formalize and organize your thoughts on a particular subject. And something happens in your mind when you write it down. You make it physical. You take it out of your head and put it on paper. And these videos are great for, it's almost like the creator of this channel looked at all the human problems that we have in Western society and parsed them out and had a conversation with everybody about like why is this a common issue among many people and how can you dissect it, and why is it maybe not as big of a problem as people think it is? I thought about that idea when I was starting to watch these videos on my own too. Like, I've thought about some of these topics and things in, like, I don't know, a lesser kind of a way, but it was interesting to hear someone put more to it, if that makes any sense. The nice thing about these is there's research behind them.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, they have, whoever, like, when you make a YouTube channel, I started doing this with beekeeping. I use outside people to help me do research. I mean, like, I did a video like a month ago about dealing with varroa mites. And there was a couple of, I don't know if we used them in the video, but there was a couple of pieces of information that my scriptwriter and my researcher dug up that I didn't know about. They didn't really apply to me because I send bees out to do pollinating. And smaller beekeepers, they would deal with some of these measures more so than I would. But that's the value in, I think there's a video in here on the power of outsourcing.
Yeah, there is. I saw that.
And like being a small business owner, my first couple of years, it's like how I got to learn social media and I got to learn YouTube and I got to do and I got to do all this stuff and I got to buy all my own bottling equipment, and you don't have to do all those things. You can, sometimes it's nice to have a tutorial or a person say, someone from the outside say, you're moving too fast and you're trying to squeeze like a swimming pool's volume of water through a thimble in a day, and it just doesn't work. Instead, you make a bunch of thimbles with holes in them, and that's how you make progress. It's such a great channel, but you don't want to watch them all at one time. You want to do like one every once in a while. Yeah,
there's so many. I really like them.
I'm trying to think if there's any that would like appeal to you while we're talking that we haven't covered yet. Fix your sleep.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
How to keep a diary. How keeping a diary can save you. I hate to admit it, but even as a guy, I kept a diary for a while. But I guess there's something to be said between, writing something down. Like this podcast has kind of become diary. I mean, it doesn't really matter what the medium is. You have to unload things that are in your mind. Otherwise, pressure builds up. Why we need to feel and not just think when you are feeling quiet and numb. Why you should explain what you need. Passion versus duty. These are great. And again, I think they're things that anyone who's just having a rough day for whatever reason, if you were to just go on this channel and punch in like stress or sadness, school of life, you'll find videos that'll help recalibrate you. Zen Buddhism and fireflies. I have no idea what that's about, but I'm sure it's how to utilize Buddhism. That's the other nice thing about these is these videos are very actionable.
Like you mean
they're things
applying them to your life? Yeah. I think what's nice too is any one of them listening to it, I can say, oh yeah, I can relate, and or I've tried that before, and I'm learning new things. So like for me, self-care is very important. I really like the idea of self-care, like all of its parts or whatever. And like, for example, one of the ones that I listen to for our podcast discussion right now, How to Simplify Your Life. Like they were saying, we schedule too much, we do too much, we don't take time to like not just sit, but like we just don't take time. And I noticed that about myself, of course, related to the pandemic. But before the pandemic, I was just so busy. And then the pandemic hit and everything was closed and it was like there wasn't anything to do. And so, like, this video that I watched talked about like overstimulation and not like enough, like not taking enough time to just like be like in the moment or whatever. I said that already, but I mean, so anyway, I thought that was interesting because like I could learn new things, but then I could also be like, oh yeah, I've done that in my life before. And it's kind of like, it's validating to hear somebody else say, I don't know, that your ideas are good. The ones about sleep are very interesting because I wrote that down too. They said that like we pay attention to the news all the time and we're always getting news and we're not like we're not getting enough sleep and all those kind of things that are important. And I just think like, I don't know, everybody could learn things from these videos.
The sleep is a big one. I know I'm sure I'm not different from a lot of people in that, I mean, this is just how my rhythms operate, especially when I'm home and I'm doing a task. Before I go to bed, I'll think of something else I could get done, an email I could send, or an inquiry I could make, or something I want to look up, or something I want to buy, and I should be in bed by like 10, and then it extends out to like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I know that's not good for me because it pushes back when I wake up the next day, and then when I start my workout, and all these things. And I think things like videos like these are nice because I think human beings just need to have regular reminders. It's not like the knowledge around getting good sleep. This is the first time I've heard it was from this video. I've heard it from many other sources.
Yeah, true.
But I think they say, so, especially in advertising, like you want to see a message 7 times before you start to remember it. And they would always say that, like when I'd make cold calls when I was selling print, you'd have to hit people like 4, 5, 6, 7 times for it to be like, oh yeah, you're the envelope guy, or you're the commercial 6-color guy, whatever. But it's such a dense I know I keep saying it, but it just goes on and on. The history of the Islamic gardens.
Wow.
How to find satisfying work. The power of gratitude. You know what? I like without even seeing that. I can speak to that. Or this is going to sound a little woo, and it might be outside the realm of like what gratitude does, but like I know this is going to sound woo. I know at the market I'm going to have a good day. Or even, maybe it might be later in the week, but if I spread my money around with other vendors, and I don't do it all the time, but like, if there's something I have to get for a friend in Brighton, or for you, or for whoever, like, I like to spend it with the people I know, because I know they appreciate it, and then it's like, I've seen it happen so many times, I know it comes back to me. So when you see somebody make a video about either the power of gratitude or the power of what's the word, like karma. Like,
yeah, and I think there are videos about gratitude and I know I saw something about it.
I'm sure there's either budding research or there's research that's being conducted right now about if you've ever heard about the like superstring theory and quantum entanglement, about how you can see a particle changes position depending on how you're looking at it.
I've heard a little bit about this before.
And I do kind of wonder on some level if karma is involved with that in some way that we don't fully understand. Like, if you affect the universe one way, like if you throw shade to somebody or dump on somebody, it comes back to you. And the inverse of that, I would think, is also true. When you show kindness and love to people and assist people, it comes back to you. I've heard about it from so many people. I mean, you don't have to fully understand the mechanics and the physics around it, but on some level, there are truths in the universe that people know to be true without knowing why they're true. And a channel like this really kind of it just skims along the surface of what those truths are. Are you okay?
Okay. I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm just looking at other ones. Other videos.
There are so many that, like when I try to select with my finger, my screen is too sensitive, so I have to do it manually. Charles Darwin hated humanity.
That's one.
Yeah. How to get in touch with your feelings.
I didn't take any. Sorry.
No.
I didn't take any notes, but I saw one, and I think I watched it about how our own childhoods affect our future life or something like that. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Just on that title alone, I think that everybody should watch that. You still have a chance to be very original. Like, I would imagine, and I haven't watched that one, but I'll bet you $1,000 for everybody out there who's hit a certain age marker and society tells you have to have everything figured out at 30 or 45. You got to have your house and your kids and all that stuff nailed down. Like,
that's very stressful.
Oh my God, it's the worst. I remember, that friend of mine, Ryan. I've told you about Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling him when I was in my 20s how I didn't feel like I was going to progress fast enough. And to this day, I'll never forget it. He brought up Grandma Moses.
Mm-hmm.
You know Grandma Moses?
No.
She became a painter. It's not from the same woman from the movie we reviewed, Maudie.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that. She was, I believe, she didn't start painting till she was like in her 70s or 80s.
I think I know what we're talking about.
And she became very famous
Mm-hmm.
for her work.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't start until she was well advanced in her age.
I feel like I just saw something about this.
And it's funny because nobody, like, for whatever reason, that's a great example.
Yeah.
Of you can do anything whenever you want.
Right.
And people don't.
There's no timeline.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, people sit in this, they have this belief that there is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely on my to-watch list when I'm commuting, which I'm always doing.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's one that you, folks out there, you trip across that you really fall in love with, feel free to message us. You know what? Do we have, at some point, we probably should have like a podcast email.
That would be neat, yeah.
Yeah. You can do it through heyhoney.biz.
Yeah, that's what we've said before in the past.
You want to hear my recipe?
I do.
You won't eat it because it's fish, but I tripped across this, and this looks delicious. You don't do fish, do you?
Not really, no.
Well, it looks great to me.
It's the whole seafood.
Well, I love it. All right. Honey garlic salmon.
Salmon I would do.
This looks so good. It looks more, the photo looks like sockeye, but these look like half-pound salmon fillets, like the cube ones. Get it however, the recipe still applies. 1 1/4 pound salmon fillets, 2 teaspoons olive oil, salt and pepper to taste, 4 cloves of garlic minced, 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup low sodium soy sauce. I just got back from the doctor. My LDL, HDL, probably, they're all high. So if you're heart conscious, you might want to cut that out. 3 tablespoons honey, mine preferably. Actually, on this one, the chili pepper or the lemon ginger worked pretty well, I'm sure. 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon chopped parsley, and lemon wedges for serving. Instructions are really quick. You're going to heat the olive oil in a large pan over medium-high heat. Season the salmon with salt and pepper to taste. Then you're going to place the salmon skin side up in the pan. You're going to cook for around 5 minutes or until it's cooked through. Fish doesn't take long to cook. You're going to remove the salmon from the pan and place on a plate. Cover with foil to keep it warm. Then you're going to add garlic to the pan and cook for 30 minutes. I'm sorry, 30 seconds. Holy cow, that'd be like caramelized. That'd be like black crust at that point. 30 seconds.
The pan would be done.
Yeah. 30 seconds. Add water, soy sauce, and honey to the pan. Bring to a simmer. In a small bowl, whisk together cornstarch with a tablespoon of cold water and slowly pour in the cornstarch mixture into the pan and whisk to combine. Bring to a boil and cook for a minute or until the sauce has just thickened. Return the salmon to the pan and spoon the sauce over the top. Sprinkle with parsley and serve with lemon wedges. You know what? It wasn't exactly like this, but I tell you about that friend of mine he was a dental student here at U of M, and he was from Idaho, Montana. Mm-hmm. I tell you about this kid. His girlfriend came to visit him.
Yes.
And he found out that when she was here that she was screwing around on him.
Yes, you told me about
Oh, God,
this.
it was like he found out while she was in the room.
Yeah.
Oh. And she was still staying for another couple of days. He had to send her away. Oh, it was the worst. Anyway, it's sidebar. So he goes salmon fishing with his, I believe he said his stepfather in Alaska, and he got like 50 pounds of sockeye salmon, and he gave me like 6 of them. And I made, let me just back up and say, if you're going to make this recipe, do it with real salmon. Don't buy it from the store, because while my recipe was a little different, he gave me a recipe it was for teriyaki, but not too far off from this. The fish makes all the difference. If you can get it fresh caught, it's amazing. And I mean, it didn't even taste like the same fish. It was incredible. Don't do store bought. All right, that's it. I'm done. You have lots to say because this was your pick for the Blacklist. And I'm going to tell you right now that my pick for who the mother is a banger.
Okay.
Well, who is it? What's the movie?
Okay.
So, just a review for anyone who's just tuning in. Blacklist is Louisa and I take a stock of a lot of the scripts in Hollywood that are not in circulation yet or have not been picked up, and we cast them with who we think would be good in it based off the synopsis. So, tell them what you found.
Okay, so this week I found a script called Pizza Girl by Jean Kyung Fraser. And this movie is about an 18-year-old pregnant pizza delivery girl, and she falls into an obsession with a stay-at-home mom who is new to the neighborhood. So we just had 2 characters really to pick.
I love it when they're quick and simple.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I mean,
we haven't had a quick and simple one in a while.
When we have a huge cast, I mean, that's cumbersome.
Yeah, they're a little different. So we picked a pizza delivery person and
the mother,
the mom.
Obsessed mother. I'm waiting.
I think it's the pizza girl who becomes obsessed with the stay-at-home mom. So the stay-at-home mom, she's new to the neighborhood. You have to change a little now.
Well, no,
you could just.
No, I know, but like I picked the mother based off how I thought she could play crazy.
Oh yeah, I gotcha. Well, you can still.
But keep that in mind when I tell you who it is.
Okay, I will. So for my picks, is that what you want me to continue with?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have 2. Did I say the pizza girl first? Yeah, the pizza girl. So the pizza girl, one, I was thinking Emma Watson. Do you know who that is? I'm sure you do. Everybody knows who that is.
Wait a minute.
Now that
the pizza girl, she's way beyond 18, isn't
that's
she?
I was just thinking the same thing.
What has she been in? Remind me.
She played Hermione in Harry Potter.
She's
she's
got to be
done
like 26 now.
Yeah, she's a little on the older side. That's very true. I also picked, in case that one, let's air quote, failed. I think she's sort of a newcomer because I've just discovered her, but I think her name is Angourie Rice.
Okay.
And I recently saw her in this movie that was on Netflix called The Last Thing He Ever Told Me, which is based on a book. And it was like a very suspenseful thriller with Jennifer Garner as a mom figure. And the person that she is married to has like this secret life that nobody knew about. Sorry, this is a sidebar.
That's fine.
But I feel like some of the premise of that movie would fit into this. Anyway, this Angourie Rice girl played the daughter, and I just feel like she would be good in this role.
I have no idea who this
Sorry,
girl
that
is.
took me so long to get out.
No, that's good, but like I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen. I don't think I've seen her ever.
She's in something new that's coming out because I saw a clip. I think it's a new Mean Girls movie, and I saw a clip and I was like, "Who is that girl?"
I've seen that
I
clip.
know who she is. And anyway, in my research just recently before we did the podcast, I was like, "Oh, that's who it is." But she's young and she's
Is she an up and comer?
I think so, yeah.
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 Okay. And then for the mom.
For the mom, I picked Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, you and I are on par with who we would pick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember the last thing I've seen her in.
I can't remember.
I can't remember past Batman.
Oh, I didn't even know she was in Batman.
She was in the second. She was in the one with Heath Ledger.
Wow, I definitely forgot that. He kind of stole the show in that movie.
All right, so for the mom, I picked Amy Adams.
Mm-hmm.
Because she can play like.
That's a good pick, yeah.
She can play fiery and
Mm-hmm.
angry, like if she was crazy, but if she could totally play.
She could play
well-balanced.
either way.
Yeah.
I think.
God, I wish I would have slowed down when I read that. She'd be a crazy mom, though, wouldn't she? She'd be a good crazy mom, wouldn't she?
She could play a good crazy mom. It would be great to see her play that.
For the pregnant pizza delivery girl, I only know one of these girls. The first one I don't. Brighton Sherbino. She was in The Walking Dead, a show or a movie called Radio Flash, and then Miracle on Christmas. I just liked her look, but she's right around that age. She's like 20 or 22.
What's her last name, please?
Sharbino, Sharbino. But the one who I know you're going to know is Sophia Lillis. Sophia Lillis. She was, you might not have seen it. She was Beverly Marsh. She was the young version of Beverly Marsh in It, which I guarantee you didn't see.
Definitely not.
And then Netflix's I'm Not Okay With This. But look her up. You'll see her. I'd be stunned if you didn't recognize her. I guess I say that under the assumption because I know what she looks like, and I remember her from It. While Luis is looking here, I subscribe to a newsletter called The Dailies, which has a ton of movie industry insider news that we're going to chat a little bit about. Did you find her?
Mm-hmm.
Do you recognize her?
No.
Well, forget it.
Sorry.
See, that's the thing.
But she looks like a lot of other actresses.
I don't think she was in this movie, but what was that one that came out? Oh, it was another
horror movie?
Yeah. About that girl who went to stay at the house. It was called Men, I think. And there were these guys who were terrorizing her you wouldn't have seen this. I didn't see it either, but
like recently?
A year and a half ago.
Is it a movie where a girl gets invited to like a family event, like a wedding or something, and then it's not what she thinks it is?
Now there's a scene where she goes down to there's a tunnel, and there's a guy just standing there, and he's got this weird look on his face. And
I think I saw this preview. I'm getting confused with what I was just talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why she went to this.
Yep, that's actually, I think that's what I'm talking
Was
about.
it called Men or something about men?
Yeah, I don't know, but I know what we're talking about. Yes,
it was a movie, I think, around the premise that men are complete creeps, and they were giving this woman a hard time.
a really hard time.
Yeah, you know what? We should watch that later. No, absolutely not. All right. Well, the Dailies. I love anything movie business related, and just to give you a couple of, I'm going to have you read through some of these for the next one. Not that this was a homework assignment for you or anything, but I'm sure some of these things would catch your attention. Lionsgate is finalizing negotiations to significantly increase its majority stake in 3 Arts Entertainment. So I'm wondering if 3 Arts potentially would dissolve, and it would just be Lionsgate you'd see more of those logos before 3 Arts movies.
Does this Dailies come out every week or every day? Every week.
Yeah. Somebody who I know Louisa is following very closely is Vince McMahon, and is apparently selling a third of his stake in TKO Group Holdings.
Yep, nope, none of that.
Well, hold on. You didn't let me finish. He's selling a third of his stake in TKO Holdings while CEO Ari Emanuel, whom Ari Gold from Entourage was portrayed on,
Oh, okay.
and other executives express interest in buying shares of the Endeavor-controlled company. So I'm not sure. I wonder why he's doing it. I wonder if I can't imagine Vince McMahon is strapped for cash. Scott Metzger is leaving CAA to join United Entertainment. I'm sorry, Untitled Entertainment. Netflix info. You might find this interesting. Netflix trims its feature animation division by 1/3.
Oh yeah, I read that in the dailies that you shared.
Yeah.
I read. Yeah.
Focusing on producing 2 original tentpole films annually and collaborating with Skydance Animation for future releases. So these are going to be bigger budget movies, but animated instead of a whole huge ton of a litany of little ones. Which will be interesting to see over the next couple of years what these big animations look like.
It will be very interesting.
I'm assuming they're going to be bigger projects.
And that's very interesting because that's competing with Disney and Pixar. Like those kind of movies, right?
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
What else is worth looking at? Of course, there was a ton of info on the deal struck for SAG.
The writer's strike.
The actor's strike. I think it was the actors one that was done. Yeah, SAG. I know they got a wage increase, 7% wage bump. Background actors are going to get an immediate 11% bump. That's humongous. Number of covered positions in the West Coast zones will equal those in the East Coast zones, adding up to 11,000 new covered background workdays annually. This was interesting. Pension and health contribution caps. 1 hour and half-hour productions are upping their game with significant contribution cap hikes. That's like for actors, that's a big deal. Like having health insurance and having more coverage.
Yeah.
New streaming compensation, which is one that all of the actors were bitching about. It's so hard to make any money. They get paid pennies on. They were getting paid pennies on the dollar for all of their any streaming media that they were a part of. Streaming scenes get a makeover with new compensation stream for performers, adding some oomph to the existing residuals and distribution fund to make work and streaming more sustainable for middle-class actors, and artificial intelligence protections. I'm really, really curious to see in the next 5 years how the studios try to navigate around, sorry, fucking people, fucking the actors over with that. But the deal says Digital U is now under lock and key. So the agreement incorporates informed consent and compensation for the creation and use of digital replicas and members, living and deceased.
Yeah, very interesting.
You guys can read about this in Variety if you want, but I'll be curious. Like, and again, we're not inside the business, but I know that when producers and studios step outside of what the labor unions allow, and a performer gets wind of it, they kind of have an uphill battle. I mean, from what I've seen, that's a union that has a lot of power in that town, and pushback is usually met with settlements quite quickly. Wasn't it your girl Scarlett Joe who sued one of the studios not too long ago that they used her likeness, or they didn't pay her for distribution? Didn't you hear about this?
No, that's not ringing a bell, but I feel like she might have had something to do with women not getting paid the same as men.
Yeah. What's next?
I like this last section in the Dailies called Last Looks, about things that are in movies and TV that are in development, and then also what's being released.
Anything jump out? I saw in development. You mean in development, or?
Oh, nothing really jumped out at the current one, but I just like that section. Like, I like to pay attention.
It's called Last Looks.
Pay attention to that kind of stuff. The section on the newsletter is called Last Looks, and then it has things that are in development and releases. Like, for example, they have a thing about what Netflix is doing right now. They have a thing about what BET is doing. They have a huge thing about what Disney is doing. All of these movies that have been pushed back.
And their box office breakdown. Oh, the money, my favorite part. This was, sorry for all you people who love Marvel stuff. Some of them I liked, but this one was music to my ears. Disney's sequel, The Marvels, opens up at a disappointing $47 million, the lowest in MCU history.
Oh yeah, I read those too. I like that information as well.
Bam. Taylor Swift Eras Tour. This was jaw-dropping. Slips to a third place with $5.9 million.
It's been out for a while.
Yeah, I know. That's like, that slips into third. It's like, I've been hearing about this since when was she here? She was here in August, wasn't she?
Oh yeah, like here you mean in Michigan and Detroit?
She's still making
something
money
like
on that tour. Like,
yeah, super.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're on tour, you're always making money, but that, like,
now she's in South America.
Wow. Killers of the Flower Moon. I've been hearing this a lot, that people are kind of underwhelmed with that movie.
Oh really?
Yeah. Well, you know, that might have been just Jesselnick who was dumping on it. Although, just like, when I saw the preview, I mean, yeah, it's a good story, and I don't like hearing about Indians being, they're my people, I can say that, being taken advantage of, but it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't hook me. Like, I don't want to say, oh my God, who's the director?
Martin
Scorsese. Not that he's a one-trick pony, only doing mafia movies, but he's so good at it. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently Killers fell to 5th place with $4.6 million last week, lagging behind previous DiCaprio-Scorsese collaborations.
I think what's kind of interesting, and not that I'm necessarily anybody, because I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
little Louisa, but like, I think that the 3.5 hour running time on this movie has a lot. I would think that it would have a lot to do with it, and I don't really know. But personally, I don't want to go sit in right now. I don't want to go sit in a theater for 3.5 hours and watch a super intense, true story movie. Like, I need an intermission or something, and I know that that's not going to happen. 3.5 hours is a long time.
I know a couple of those, like the actual character development. Like, and we didn't see the movie, so we're not going to name them. But DiCaprio's character, he was the one who buddied up to and married the Osage girl who had all the money.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was kind of calculating, I think, is how they presented it for that movie. But in real life, he was apparently like a total dullard.
Oh, really?
Just kind of a doof. And the guy who played the investigator was also he was a meth dealer in Breaking Bad. I can't remember that guy's name. Sorry, guys. But he apparently was the most interesting character in that whole saga. He had like a whole backstory, and his investigation was, perilous. But he's, apparently he cracked the case. So yeah, that's our latest episode. Anything we didn't cover?
No, I don't think so.
All right, we'll be back with another one. Whose turn is it coming forward?
The next time
That's you.
we
You got
are on, I have a movie, and you have to find a Blacklist.
Do you have a movie picked out?
I think I do, yeah. I just
What
have to
is it?
figure out how to watch it. I'm not going to tell
You can.
these
All right,
friends.
you have to come back, folks. Apparently, 'cause
It's a surprise.
she's not even going to tell me. But thanks for tuning in. Behave yourselves, and we'll talk to you soon. Toodaloos.
Bye.